Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for taking the time out to spend the next hour with us and Hermitage. And in today's session, we will look at the Virtuozzo as an alternative cloud platform for service providers and enterprises. And with me, I have Liche from Virtuozzo, from our sales engineering team, who will then also look at the technical side of the actual Virtuozzo hybrid infrastructure platform. And the next slide, please. All right, let's bring all the points up. So in today's session, we will do a brief introduction into Virtuozzo itself and look at the current landscape around the virtualization or cloud platform environments. We will then, with Liche, look into our multi-tenant cloud platform architecture and then follow that with an in-depth deep dive demonstration of the platform itself so you can get a first-hand experience of the actual platform and how it actually works and how simple it is to manage. And during the session, if you please, as Asta has said there, if you can please raise your questions in the chat. At the end of the session, we've reserved some time to answer those questions. So please do raise them in the chat as we go through the presentation. Okay. All right. So Virtuozzo has earned the reputation in the industry as being the alternative cloud platform leader. And this is because the Virtuozzo infrastructure as service and platform as a service software power the alternative cloud in today's modern economy. Really what Virtuozzo does is we make it really easy and accessible and affordable for service providers, for SMEs, enterprises and independent software vendors to build and manage their own cloud platforms as an alternative to hyperscalers or traditional virtualization platforms. And when we talk about sort of easy, it makes it, what Virtuozzo does, it makes it easy for organizations to consume and provide the most common workloads that generate, for example, the most revenue within an organization, and making it simple by removing the complexities around OpenStack, for example, to actually deploy and integrate these platforms without the extensive requirement of certifications and engineering level skills to actually manage and operate and deploy these platforms. From an accessibility perspective, we have a two-tier market approach with our distribution and partner channels, making it possible for enterprises and customers to acquire cloud capabilities from CSPs and NSPs, and also deploy and run their own private cloud platforms through our channel distribution model. From an affordability perspective, we believe that we offer a TCO of up to 40% less than that of hyperscalers based on the Virtuozzo cloud platforms. And when you compare to traditional virtualization technologies such as VMware, we make the statement that we provide up to 50% TCO improvement on those, and that is also achieved because of the density and the optimizations we provide in the platform, optimizing the hardware and infrastructure itself. Okay, next slide. All right. I think we're missing a slide there. All right, so Virtuozzo is not a new company in the industry. Virtuozzo has over 24 years experience in the industry, starting out in the late 90s, so 1998, and in early 2000, bringing the first system virtualization containerized platform, commercial grade platform to market as SW Soft, the company known in those days. And that predated the system virtualization technologies such as we know aware of today as LXC and LXD. Then actually in around 2005, Virtuozzo created the open source project OpenVZ based on this commercial grade system virtualization technology, and that is still available today as openvz.org. And as you can see on the slide here, Virtuozzo has over 680 service provider customers with the technologies engineered specifically for enterprise clouds and service provider clouds with secure multi-tenancy, which Liche will talk to us about, and self-service capabilities as the fundamentals of the product. We have over 300 employees dotted around 16 locations globally, providing enterprise support and engineering to clients. As you can see there, we have 157 patents, and this is because of Virtuozzo's foundation and heritage in open source. Virtuozzo contributes to open source and develops our products from open source as commercial grade products with enterprise support, which is vastly different from comparative OpenStack or open source based solutions. Now, In that space, Virtuoso actually contributes to open source projects such as Docker, OpenStack, as you heard about OpenVZ, Crew, which is another one actually was created by Virtuoso, the Linux kernel itself. And Virtuoso in the emulation and virtualization space is actually globally the fourth largest contributor to KVM and QEMU. And so with this heritage, it gives you the understanding of Virtuo's capabilities in terms of being able to develop and engineer these products as commercial grade products, which then save you the time and money from having to have an engineering team to build and actually operate such platforms. So from the logos below, you can see a diverse range or use case of logos there. We're going from, for example, we got one there, Kalam. We take Flow.Swiss, Hedora. These are organizations providing infrastructure capabilities, but also application as a service, so PaaS platforms based on the Virtuo solutions for DevOps application deployment and database as a service. And you also see some of the well-known names as DT and GoDaddy within the European markets. And there's some interesting ones on the top left. You've got ChainStack and Constructor. These give you an idea of the diverse use cases for which the platform is used, with ChainStack being predominantly a blockchain-based service providing company that build their solutions on Virtuo's hybrid infrastructure. Constructor, on the other hand, is a AI, ML, research and learning-based platform, utilizing things such as vGPU, and also standardizing or building their solutions on the Virtuoso hybrid infrastructure platform. All right, next slide. Right, so in the market today, we're seeing a lot of disruption. We're all aware of the announcements and the, let's say, different messaging that's coming out from Broadcom following the VMware acquisition. And we see comments from analysts such as Forrester saying that they expect a 20% exit out of the VMware platform. And these are really due to the unpredictability about that people are seeing about the VMware future from let's say, partnerships perspective, programs perspectives, and also pricing models and changing models for the environment. So what people are experiencing is an increased cost in VMware, number one. Secondly, removing their perpetual licenses and replacing that with an annual subscription based from the cloud perspective, impacting cloud service providers, removing the VMware cloud provider program, replacing that with a new program requiring a 3,500 core commitment, and also removing the OpEx-based model in that space, changing it to, annual subscription-based model. So these disruptions are actually affecting end users and enterprises themselves, as well as consumers of cloud, but of local clouds, as well as within their own organizations. So what we'll learn about today in our session is how Virtuoso can actually provide infrastructure or cloud platforms for private cloud and service provider cloud-based platforms, which are a formidable alternative based on commercial grade products and enterprise level of support, as you would expect in such multinational environments. Okay. And with this, I will hand over to Alice to tell us all about our Virtuoso hybrid infrastructure.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Andrew and Hasta, for this kind introduction. So what we cover today will be more on the technical side to provide you with this specification and features and all the services that we can provide to you with our production-ready OpenStack Virtuoso hybrid infrastructure. So it is important to understand, and Andrew already highlighted this aspect, how we are coming from this open source world, but we turn everything to have a production ready product, meaning that we are providing you an out of the box cloud platform, meaning that our platform, our Virtuoso hybrid infrastructure, is providing you all the full stack for the virtualization part, the software-defined storage, and the orchestration, so that you can have embedded built-in multi-tenancy in it, software-defined network for easiness of use in terms of storage and network configuration, as well our own developed user interface, two panels to help you and have an easy management of the platform, where you can have your customers creating their virtualized environment, infrastructure as a service, as well as Kubernetes as a service, which is something that we do have built in. It is the install is very easy. It's pretty much automated, meaning that we do have this, we improve capability to provide you one unique product containing all the OpenStack services where it is very easy to install, is pretty immediate to have this installation. You start with one node and then you can add your nodes in it, and those cluster will be built in by the software stack. We do also implemented the zero downtime updates to for easiness of use, because we do know how difficult could be to operate with the OpenStack. OpenStack is a very well-known platform for the cloud. Is very nice to have this open source, but it's very complex to have the installation, to maintain the cluster, and to make the updates. So what we have done is to really make it stable. It's really a production ready. It's a product, and we implemented also this zero downtime updates where we are taking care of the full update of the product, having this node one by one updated while there's business continuity for the workloads inside the cluster. In terms of performances, we do our best to improve at the maximum level the performance of the cluster. We do have an optimized KVM. You have heard from Andrew our history, where we're coming from, how the penetration that we have in the hosting providers because of our optimized KVM, meaning that we have a very high level of hardware efficiency, and we use our software defined storage, which is our coded Virtuozzo storage, which has some benchmark, and we have done with Ceph, and we have three more fast performance than the Ceph itself. We have an engineering team, an R&D team, PS, and support. So it is important to understand that, as you have seen before in our previous slides, Andrew has described us as a pretty small company, I would say, with a bit more than 300 people all around the world. But please keep in mind that 90% of our employees are engineering in R&D, support, and professional services. This means that we have this in-house development, and we are following also what our customers tell us. We are at a size that we want to hear from you, from our partners, from the channel, from the end customers, what will be the next feature to develop in the future. And this is something that I will tell you and see, and you can see in our product as well. So we take care of the complexity of everything related to the OpenStack part to integrate as much services as you would require for your business, and you just have one unique product that you can easily use. And we do also include the support for it because it's a production ready, and we know how difficult it could be when there is any kind of issue, so that we have a 24/7 support with to support the end users in at any time in any part of the world. So now, because we know what happened with the Broadcom acquisition of VMware, so we are all aware that VMware is providing a very good platform, but we are the true alternative to the VMware cloud platform, because when we talked about the VMware platform, we are talking mainly about 5 separate products that we actually combine in a single solution. It's one single product, the Virtuoso hybrid infrastructure that can cover all those products that are separated in the VMware environment. You could have Cloud Director. In VMware, we do have built-in multi-tenancy with the OpenStack orchestration, creating virtual data center fully separated, fully isolated with self-service panel where the customers can connect and manage their own environment. We do use the hypervisor at KVM level, which is our virtualization part. We do have the software defined network part, which is something to easy your implementation and installation and definition of the network. We do have metering and reporting embedded in the platform to help you with the metering part about the consumption for the reporting so that you can have always and keep an eye on everything related to the cluster. And we have software defined storage, which is our native configuration, having this inside software defined virtuoso storage helping you in a very flexible manner, creating different tiering, creating different storage policy, which is allowing also the high availability for the VMs inside the cluster. So now I would like to have an insight about the architecture and the features. First of all, it is important to understand that Virtuoso hybrid infrastructure is based on OpenStack. It is based on KVM virtualization. This means that we are um, having this open source product and we do our code, we keep it in-house development to provide a stable solution, a unique product that is easy to use, where you have all the services coming from the OpenStack for the infrastructure as a service, for example, where we do have the ability to have separated virtual data center, the domains where each of the user can create their own environment in terms of creating VMs, in terms of having separated virtual private networks fully isolated per environment. We do have virtual router inside. We do have public IPs for accessing from the outside. We do have a load balancer as a service, VPN as a service to connect for from the outside, VPN site to site. We do have Kubernetes as a service as well. All those services are all included in the service panel and also in the license, having this license model very easy and straightforward. One unique product, one single license for all the services. We do have this service panel where the customers can connect and use all the services. We added in our latest version another services is the backup. So I was telling you that we are a engineering based company because we are hearing from the market, we are hearing from you, and there was a huge request about having an embedded solution for backups. So we implemented this backup service, which is now available in our latest version as well, from the service portal, so that actually the customers can manage themselves all those services from one unique single portal, fully isolated. We do also have storage as a service because we have a highly usage of the hardware so that within our storage solution, we can offer storage as a service as well so that you can create a cluster and you can really use every single resources in that cluster, creating a cluster that can be also, let's say, hybrid for services more linked to the compute part, having nodes more for the compute with storage more for the compute, and then also providing some nodes just for the storage services, because we do have the capabilities to provide S3 as a service, which is embedded, built in the product. And we do have all those capabilities to manage the cluster, the different resources, to have those storage as a service and different virtual data center that where you can assign a software quotas per customers. You can assign certain services for the customers to use or not for the administrative UI. Again, here we are focusing because it's our own development in-house from the R&D that we have. We are really focusing on the easiness of use. I will show you in the demo how easy it is, how clean is the interface so that you can easily manage your infrastructure through these panels that you have available. We do also have APIs. This is very important because compared to other solutions that are coming from OpenStack, sometimes they are not fully compliant. We are 100% compliant OpenStack. Even if we develop in-house and we do our code, we still maintain, and this is very important for us, we do want to maintain and we will maintain 100% compatibility with the OpenStack APIs to have a full integration with everything related to the OpenStack tools that you can eventually integrate into our platform, but also for the automation, making the provisioning, making also this billing integration with a third party platform that can make the invoice automatically, because we in the platform are keeping all the data about the user's consumption, and then you can have those data, you can extract those data and have billing platform having this automatic invoice to your customers as well. As you have understood from our previous slides, we are coming from these providers, cloud providers, managed service providers, which needed those built-in capabilities for easiness of usage, management, and so on. In case of private deployment as well, it could be very interesting to see all our capabilities for the monitoring part, because everything has built to monitor, to control, to have a full view of what is happening in the cluster. We do have this orchestration, as I said before, with the OpenStack part where we manage to make auto updates so that there's zero downtime, making this automatic update node by node in a rolling mode so that we do care that there is always business continuity inside the cluster. And then we have auto deployment. This is a very nice feature where you can easily add at any time a new node, for example, and all the resources from this new node are automatically put in the, let's say, the pool of the resources of the cluster. That could be for the compute part, for the storage part, and we do also have easiness of usage for the storage part about the disk, because you can use different type of disk all together. We can create tiering, and then you can also add new disk if you have still the place inside the servers to those to have additional storage, for example, or to have to switch and to swap the disk as well. In terms of architecture, I will go deeply to better explain our architecture for our software-defined storage, software-defined compute resources, and software-defined network. Before doing that, just let's think a little bit about a typical VMware setup, where that is normally like a minimum of 3 hosting server, where we do have this virtualization on top of it. Everything is then connected through this connectivity layer to storage arrays. And then we do have the VMs running in the virtualization with the everything related to the apps inside the VM. When we are thinking about our architecture, what we do have is this Virtuoso hybrid infrastructure, having those servers with some internal storage. So this is our typical deployment that we have with native hyperconverged, so that we do have all those servers. Let's think about 5 servers like here, and we do have software defined storage, which is actually keeping all the storage that we have internally and providing different tiering. And we do have also the different definition of the storage policy, so that we can have high availability inside the cluster when we define the storage policy. We do have also the software defined network, which is something that is helping in having virtual distributed switching, virtual router, management of public IPs, and so on, and software defined compute resources, as we pool all the compute resources all together, and then you can assign those quotas to the different users and so on. We do suggest to start with 3 nodes, 5 nodes for bigger production because of the high availability. So when you think about using our the Virtuoso storage, what is important to understand is that then you can build different tiering and you can build different storage policy. This means that inside the storage policy, you are defining also the fault tolerance of the cluster. So if we think about having 3 nodes, what we can have is that we can assure and guarantee high availability in case one node is failing. In case we do have a 5 node cluster, we can guarantee the high availability in case we do have 2 node failing. Why is that? Because we do have this storage policy where we are defining which level we do want the failure domain and the redundancy of how many times we are writing the data of this VM. So if we define a host level fault tolerance and we define to replicate, so 3 replicas for the redundancy of the VM's data, it means that we do have 5 nodes. We are writing the data of these VMs into 3 different hosts to guarantee that even in case we are losing 2, there's still 1 copy available of those data plus the metadata, the quorum for the metadata, so that we do have a high availability for the workloads. We are very flexible in terms of the architecture and the hardware. It's just the rel non-compatibility that we are looking for, and that's it. And then we do have the full private networking part, which is fully virtualized, software defined inside, having the definition of virtual private network inside each of the tenant, fully isolated. We do have distributed switching, so we do have VXLAN inside the cluster. We can have and use a virtual router that are enabling to have this routing between the private and public IPs. We do have load balancers. We have the VPN as a service. We use security groups per VM, so that we are assuring a set of firewall rules just to be sure of the security for VMs. And we do have these integrated DHCP and IP management as well. From the control plane point of view and the management, what we have is that from the admin, we can manage the full cluster. We can provide and define um, different virtual data center per tenant. Those virtual data center are called domain, so that we can guarantee the full multi-tenancy, where inside every virtual data center, each tenant, each end customers can connect through the self-service portal, and then they can use the resources, the storage resources, the compute resources that the admin has provided to them, as well as the services that the admin has set for these specific customers. And then they can create VMs, they can create Kubernetes clusters, and everything is just one single cluster with software-defined network, software-defined storage, and software-defined compute resources managed by one single console, and where the customers, or if it's a private cloud, also different department for big enterprise can connect to this environment and manage their own environment. As I said, we do also have services around the storage so that from the admin panel, it is possible to configure S3 as a service, for example, to create S3 buckets for an additional revenue, or in case it's needed, like for example, for hosting to have different storage that can be used directly inside the cluster. And this is what I have said out to now is basically how we are working in our native configuration, which is with the disks inside the server, hyperconverged mode. But we do support external storage as well. It means that if you have already your infrastructure with already some external storage, we can use it. You can attach to this cluster through an iSCSI connection. The important part here is just the compatibility with the Cinder matrix, because we are basing, as I said, we are based on OpenStack. Cinder is the service for this storage of the OpenStack. So if you have some external storage that you want to connect to our cluster, it is possible through iSCSI, NFS universally. And the only part is to have this compatibility with the Cinder matrix. Now I will stop a bit from the slide point of view, and we will go through the demo. So I always prefer to log in the service panel as a third thing so that you can really have the end user experience, where you can see how they can connect to their own environment. They can see the resources that they have available, some software quotas defined by the admin, and then you can have all the services available for them. So in this left menu panel, you have all the services which are something that the customers can use, and all those services is something that is already included in the license as well. So we can create a virtual machine. We just defined the name. We can deploy from an image, which is something that I have available from the admin, or I can have. I just add another volume so that I can just choose the size and from which storage policy. This means that as an admin, you can define which storage you want the user to access. You can also define different tiering and use, for example, NVMe, create a storage policy based on only NVMe, call it like a premium, and then you can put a different price for this, and the user, if they want to use that kind of storage policy, they need to pay for it, for example. And then I'm just creating my volume. I just specify the flavor, which is simply definition of the VM size. And then I will add the network interface, which is our software-defined networking layer, which is allowing every customers to create their own private network that are fully isolated, where we do have the IP management, and we are assigning the default security group, which is a subset of firewall rules to apply at the VM level. Once that I have done it, I can deploy, and then when it is deployed, I can easily have the ability to have the console from this panel, reboot, shut down, change the settings, have deep in monitoring for the specific VM. As we have seen, we have the image service, which is something that the admin is providing me the ability to have those image available for me, but I, as a user, I can also add an image inside my own environment, which is just for me. I have all the volumes used by current VMs. I can detach a volume at any time. I can create a backup. I can create a snapshot from it. And when this volume is available, I can also clone it, attach to any VM, existing VM, or create an image from it. When we talked about the network part, we have seen that I have different network available. So at admin level, as an admin, I'm providing the physical access to this environment, meaning that network that is going outside to provide the internet access. So this is this public physical with public IPs. Then I created my own virtual private, fully isolated networks, and this is something that I can create as many as I want, and it's just in my environment. I do have the ability to then use the routers inside my environment so that I can create a virtual router, providing the capabilities to connect and route everything from my private network to the public network that I have available. I can use floating IPs for the public IPs. So in case I need some direct access to a VM or maybe to a load balancer that I have available here as a service, I can use this public IP directly binded to this VM or load balancer. We do have the capabilities, the built-in service for load balancers, where you can create your own load balancer inside this environment. We do have VPN as a service, where there's this wizard guiding you in creating this site-to-site VPN connection. And we do have also the Kubernetes clusters wizard, which is guiding in easy creation of Kubernetes clusters inside this environment with high availability for the master nodes. We do have the ability to select the auto scaling for the worker groups to add the number of workers inside the Kubernetes cluster. And as I said, we also added latest features, which is this backup service, where the user can create their own backup so that they can manage their own backup directly from this interface, and then they can restore directly from the interface. So when I said that we have two portals is because, and it's very easy to use, is because we have one single portal, which is this one for the search service. And then we do have the admin portal. This is the admin portal where you have the full capabilities to manage and see everything related at cluster level. So we do have at the compute part the ability to see all the CPU available, the RAM at cluster level. So where we see here all the nodes available that I have created. This is a demo environment with the free nodes. I can add workers very easily so that I can, once that I have another node, I can then add it to this cluster. From the admin panel, I can also manage everything for all my customers, meaning that I can create a virtual machine from there. I can upload image from for there. I can create flavors and so on. As well for the networks, I can create new networks and have the view about all the private network created per project per domain, meaning inside, fully isolated inside each tenant environment. From the storage point of view, here is really where I can see all the volumes of the disk attached to a specific VM, and where I can create the different storage policy. So as you remember, I explained you our default and native architecture having this hyperconverge where we have internal storage, we define different tiering, and then they create on top of that the different storage policy so that we can have this configuration of the failure domain, where is really for the fault tolerance. By default, it at host level. So you remember when I explained you, with 5 nodes or 3 nodes, we can guarantee 2 nodes failure because we are writing onto 3 different hosts, for example. And this is where we do have this redundancy, which is replication and is free replicas, for example, in this case, but you can also use erasure coding so that can be less storage use for the redundancy mode. Inside, we do have also the backup, which can be also managed by you. And we do have as a separate service, as I said, this storage service. So the storage is a service where we can create S3 buckets in order to mutualize the usage of the full cluster. At the infrastructure level, what we have is the ability to connect new nodes. We do have all the services which are over all the nodes. So we do not dedicate any node just for the management. And you can start from 3 nodes, and even if it's even better with 5 nodes for to guarantee better fault tolerance. Inside the settings, what is important to understand is the concept of the multi-tenancy. It's built in. It is created through this domain. So I create a domain. This is my domain. Inside the domain, I can have different users. We can have 2 roles. One is the domain administrator, which is a role where they can create, project, and manage the quotas. And then you do have also the project member. The project member is really just the person that can access the single project. So this is my single project. This is my environment, the one that I was showing you before from the self-service portal, where I can, as an admin, edit the quotas. So I want to limit the vCPU. I want to change the RAM. I want to have and change this and add other different type of storage policies. This is something that I can always do at any time. I do not want them to use VPN. I do not want them to use the Kubernetes, just saving it. And when I'm back here, I can see that the total here of the CV CPU has changed, the RAM has been applied, and I do not have any more Kubernetes or VPN service available in my environment. So it is really straightforward and very easy to then manage different users inside the same cluster. In case, and then we do have the monitoring part, which is very important to see because it's very extended thanks to the use of the Prometheus and the Grafana dashboard, where you do have all the graph that you need to monitor, for example, here for the hardware node details, and you have everything related to this, to the cluster at any kind of level you might want to look at. Now, I'm just finished with the demo. So what we have is the just this quick diagram to recap a bit what we have seen through up to now. So Virtuozzo hybrid infrastructure. It is based on the OpenStack, having KVM hypervisor, Virtuoso storage when you use this native internal storage, but we do support also external storage. We do have Prometheus and Grafana monitoring. We support everything related to the different built-in services coming from the OpenStack, like the multi-tenancy, the orchestration for the auto deployment and the auto update, the software-defined network, where you do have all the services very easy to use in a couple of panel, and with the identity service, image service, and then all the services for the users that they can access per quotas, like the VPN, the backup, the load balancer, the Kubernetes, everything related to the compute service, and you do also have the S3 compatible storage. So I think that we covered a lot today, and now it's time also for you for the Q&A.
I see we got a few questions, so I will start. What third-party backup solutions supported?
Okay, so everything that can be used with OpenStack. So we are based on OpenStack. Everything that is related to the OpenStack, we can integrate in our solution without any problems. Mainly Acronis, Commvault as well. So whatever you have as an solution that can be integrated at OpenStack level, we can work with.
Okay, thank you. And a few questions in one question, so I will read them all. Which technology VPN solution is based on? Is it site-to-site VPN only? Does client remote access can be implemented? Does it support
Okay,
2FA and does it leverage ZTNA?
Okay, there's many questions
Yes.
about this VPN support. So basically, it is a site-to-site connection. So that is a IPsec key connection that you can have the normal usage that we have. What I've seen so far with our customers is to use a firewall acting as a site point. From their environment to connect this cloud environment. This is normally what I'm saying here.
Okay, thank you. Which OS Virtuoso is running on top?
We do support for the VMs every OS. That's it's not a problem. You can have many different image that you can upload to the portal.
They're also probably referring to the kernel below the VHI.
Yeah, this is our this Virtuoso Linux that we have, VZ Linux.
And
Yeah, and then for the any other drivers part, we do have the compatibility with the Red Hat 9.
and just to make it clear, related question, but which OS is used for your solution?
So we do have this Virtuoso Linux part, which is starting from, again, open source, but we worked on our own to have this VZ Linux. And then everything related to the hypervisor is KVM, but is again based on KVM because it's our own development on it.
And if you would like to see, there's the vzlinux.org open source project. As we talked about at the beginning of the session, we're heavily invested in open source and contributions. So you can go to vzlinux.org and there you can have an open source version to play with.
Okay, I hope it's clear now. Thank you. Do you place a physical server within your own data center or you are renting a space for this? Where are the data center location?
So the Virtuoso hybrid infrastructure actually is a deployment that you can do and implement on your premises. It is for service cloud providers that, for example, have their own data center and would like to replace VMware, is for private cloud. Where the company has already their own servers as well, and it can be installed on bare metal in any data centers. It's true that we have solution called Virtuoso Hybrid Cloud, And this Virtuozzo Hybrid Cloud is our cloud solution, which has all these services already implemented and available, ready to be consumed. So in case you would not want to manage, you have not the possibility, you have not the data center's location, or simply because it's too heavy to manage the hardware. So we do offer cloud full cloud solution in partnership with other partners that are providing this hardware set, and we are having this cloud solution with our software inside of it. We do have different location in Europe and a couple of location also outside Europe, like in US, and we are building one in APAC.
Can you name your direct competitors which also provide solution based on OpenStack?
It's very difficult then to name it here. I mean, there's many different type of flavors that and different type of companies that are providing the OpenStack. Some of them is just providing something open without any support. Some of them are just based or saying to be based on the OpenStack, but for example, they are not 100% compatible with the OpenStack APIs. So it depends what you're looking for. That also this is different type of things.
I would add there that it also, as Alice points out there, it comes down to that production level of support, as you would expect from a enterprise virtualization technology-based company as opposed to an open source community. And also the fact that that Alice covered off on that very first slide with the bullet points, in that Virtuozzo is an integrated product spanning all of those components, as opposed to one having to then deploy and figure out how to integrate the components from the OpenStack down through to the software-defined storage and the KVM virtualization components, and that from an ongoing update basis as well, with the auto updates in the platform. So it's a productized commercial grade offering, as opposed to, let's say, open source platforms that you need to deliver the integration yourselves.
Okay, so thank you very much. I don't see any more questions. So I would like to thank you once again for your presentation, also to all our participants who join us today. We hope to see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, so have a good rest of the day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.